Hi there, I'm Renos Vakis, lead economist at the World Bank, and your host for Accelerating Development, Ideas for Impact. This is not your typical podcast. It's an AI-powered conversation brought to you by the World Bank Institute for Economic Development, where we unpack the latest research with one goal in mind, turning big ideas into real-world impact. Let's get started.
Thanks for the introduction, Renos. Welcome to our show.
Hey everyone.
Today we're doing a focused deep dive into the World Bank's 2021 World Development Report, Data for Better Lives.
That's right.
And specifically, we want to pull out two really critical policy insights for policymakers listening in.
Exactly. Things you can actually use. The report's huge, but we're narrowing it down.
Our aim is actionable knowledge, getting beyond just the big picture ideas.
Precisely. Two foundational areas we think are key for harnessing data effectively.
Okay, let's get straight to it then. Insight number one, the crucial need for strategic investment in data infrastructure.
Yes, absolutely fundamental.
We're talking about building the groundwork for equitable access.
Yeah, and fostering real economic growth.
That's it. The report really stresses that robust digital infrastructure isn't optional anymore. It's the bedrock for everything data related.
For the whole ecosystem, really. Collecting data, exchanging it, storing it, processing, distributing, all of it. Chapter 5 dives deep into this.
And the report points out quite starkly the inequities that exist.
Huge disparities, not just between countries, but within them too.
So it's definitely not a level playing field, which directly affects who benefits from all this data.
Absolutely. And this ties into universal service policies, doesn't it?
Right. Traditionally focused on, say, broadband rollout or the earlier phone access efforts.
The UN Broadband Commission even set that ambitious goal, 75% broadband user penetration by 2025.
Ambitious indeed. But the report suggests it's more complex than just hitting a number, right?
Well, yeah. Past investments helped fiber backbones, 3G. But for countries still developing infrastructure,
it's tough to just leapfrog to 4G or 5G.
Exactly. There are real challenges. And the report makes this useful distinction between the coverage gap.
Okay, where it's just not commercially viable to provide service without help.
Precisely. Remote areas, usually. So policy levers become important there.
Like what sort of levers?
Things like boosting competition, pushing for infrastructure sharing, making wireless spectrum affordable, supporting new tech. Things policymakers can actually influence.
But then there's the other gap, the usage gap. That one really struck me.
It's staggering, isn't it? 3.1 billion people in 2018 within signal range, but not using the internet.
So what does that tell a policymaker? Just building it isn't enough.
Not even close. You really have to focus increasingly on the demand side barriers. Why aren't people connecting?
And the report identifies who's being left behind.
Yes, a survey across 22 developing countries pointed to the poor, less educated, elderly, and women.
And education level had the biggest impact.
By far, a 35 percentage point jump in internet use with just primary education shows where interventions might work best.
So it's about understanding the why. The report gives examples like device subsidies, Costa Rica, Malaysia.
Right. Those show how targeted help can tackle affordability for low-income groups.
What else on affordability?
Reducing taxes and duties on mobile phones is another big one, especially in low-income countries where those duties are often highest.
Makes sense. And tackling the gender gap and just owning a device in the first place?
Crucial. Targeted policies are needed there too.
Okay, another infrastructure point, especially for lower income nations. Domestic data infrastructure, or the lack of it.
Yes, the tromboning issue, relying on overseas facilities.
Which means higher costs and slower speeds.
Exactly, which underlines the strategic importance of national internet exchange points, IXPs.
Like local traffic hubs, keep data flowing locally.
Precisely. Reduces the need for that long-distance data routing. And co-locating data centers with them helps even more. Better performance, lower costs.
And policymakers have a clear role in nurturing these IXPs.
Absolutely. From initial facilitation, maybe seed funding, to encouraging connections.
Even mandating participation sometimes, if dominant players resist.
Potentially, yes. Then, shifting focus later to self-sustainability, open policies, attracting diverse participants like content providers. It's an evolving role.
Okay, that paints a really clear picture on infrastructure. Let's shift to the second key insight. This one's about fostering trust and enabling responsible data sharing.
Equally critical. The report argues this is essential to unlock the full public benefit of data.
Because the real value comes when data can be used and reused, right?
Exactly. For different purposes, by different actors, but this hinges on what the report calls a social contract around data.
Built on trust, equity, and demonstrating value.
Yes, people and organizations need to trust the system.
But there are barriers to that sharing, aren't there? Concerns.
Definitely. Worries about data protection, security, absolutely. And also, how do those who invest in collecting data capture some return? These are real tensions policymakers need to navigate.
Yet, the report makes a strong case for overcoming these barriers. What are the main benefits of sharing?
What identifies three main pathways to better lives. First, better policy and services through more informed decisions.
Makes sense.
Second, targeting resources better, especially for marginalized groups, using granular data.
Pinpointing need.
And third, boosting government accountability and empowering individuals through transparency. Open data helps there.
The Nigeria example was powerful. A water survey leading to a state of emergency declaration and action plan.
A clear case of public data driving policy. But what's also exciting is leveraging private data.
Data collected for commercial reasons.
Right. Sometimes it offers greater scale or it's more real-time, more granular than public data alone. It can fill gaps.
Like using mobile call detail records, CDRs, or remote sensing for poverty prediction.
Exactly. More timely, often cheaper than traditional surveys. The report notes that research in Rwanda showed CDRs could reliably predict socioeconomic status.
Interesting.
Definitely. And it's not just poverty. Think social media analytics for traffic safety, like in Washington state. Lots of potential applications.
We saw this during COVID too, didn't we? Private data being used for public health?
Absolutely. Google's mobility reports, Ookla's speed index, they offered valuable insights for public health responses and infrastructure planning. Great examples of cross-sector sharing.
But even using public data effectively has roadblocks. What did the report identify?
Several things. Lack of funding, not enough technical capacity in government, governance issues around data management, and sometimes just a lack of demand for data insights within policy circles.
So how do governments tackle that? What policy actions?
Investing in people is key. Training statisticians, data scientists, improving data literacy across the board.
And strengthening institutions like National Statistical Office.
Thank you for joining us. You can find the full report on our website. Just follow the link in the description. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know about upcoming episodes. And before you go, how do you plan to put what you learn into practice? And what topics you'd like us to explore next? We'd love to know. Until then, goodbye.